Hi everyone, I'm Cynthia Faulkner with the Self-Corrected Club. Tonight I have Doug and Greg from Viking Capital Investments on our show, and we're going to talk a little bit about notes and non-performing notes. Doug, Greg, thanks so much for being on.
Thanks for having us, Cynthia.
Thanks for having us, Cynthia.
Oh, of course. All right, so we've got a little bit of a presentation here for you guys to go through. So how about you start about telling us a little bit about who you are?
Well, we're Viking Capital Investments, and we invest in mortgage notes, investment firms that we get a bunch of these notes from. Non-performing is what we do. They're first lien notes across the United States. We are in different markets that we buy our notes from. We've been buying distressed assets since 2001, and for many years we've been doing rehabs and rentals. And we buy the notes from banks and hedge funds at major discounts. And our goal is to help the mortgage holder stay in the homes. That is our #1 goal. And VCR works with the investors throughout the United States with their self-directed IRAs and 401ks as well. And we help investors get a better rate return on their investment money.
That's awesome. I love the little bit of philanthropic work you get into by keeping everyone in their home. That's awesome.
Thanks.
It's always nice to be able to help a person stay in the house, and a lot of times we find that when we take these notes that the banks that previously held the note never contacted them. They never gave them any opportunity to modify or to help them work through a problem time. And a lot of times it just took a phone call to get it worked out. So we're happy to do it.
Oh, wow. No, that's amazing. I'm sure a lot of the note holders are excited to get your phone call done.
Yeah, they find it hard when they're working with a smaller firm instead of a big bank. My name's Doug Benson, and I've been in real estate since 2001, and I've been married to my wife since 2004, and we've been together since 1996. And we enjoy cooking, movies, concerts, traveling, and spending time together. And we reside in the northwest suburbs of Chicago, Illinois.
Awesome. Well, Doug, how did you get into the business? What interested you in it?
I'm sorry, Cynthia?
Well, yeah, what got you into the note business? What interested you in the beginning?
What got me into the note business is a great question, because it's the reason we're on here with you tonight is we want to let people know that they can be the bank and not have to deal with toilets and tenants. We did a lot of rehabs. We brought in a lot of renters and had to deal with that after we rehabbed them. And a lot of times they would destroy the home. You spend $3,000, $4,000 putting the money back in there and re-renting it. When I found out about the note business, Greg and we absolutely went nuts, knowing that we could buy a mortgage note, make it re-performing, and not have to worry about a furnace going out or a refrigerator going out or things that you'd have to pay for again. To top it all off was that they pay for the taxes. That's something else you have to do when you have a renter in your building. You have to pay the taxes. That's not part of it, and you have to take that out of the money you make monthly.
That's awesome. So of your current portfolio that you have, do you even have rentals anymore? Have you given it up? Are you all on notes, or do you feel a little bit diversified?
We are selling all our rentals at this point. We just sold one last Friday, and we're totally getting out of the rental business and dealing with non-performing notes and trying to get them performing again.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, so Greg, tell us a little bit about it.
Well, bullet points simply are that as Doug, I've been in real estate quite a long time. I am a retired stock options trader and a retired commercial diver. But currently outside of the notes, what I do is I do historic salvage. I deconstruct or renovate historical structures, big ones, 200, 300,000 square foot textile mills or anything that is massive and you can convert from an industrial to a commercial residential type of facility. They do that. And if they're in a condition where they can't be saved, then we disassemble them and we sell off all the components. So that's kind of a fun thing. But with Doug, we've segued into the notes because we see such a dynamic future in that. And then personally, I'm a pilot. I like to fly, and I like antique Buicks, and I live in the upstate of South Carolina, which is in fact the best kept secret in the United States.
I like it. Passion where you live.
Mm-hmm.
All right, awesome. Well, that's kind of dive in. Give us your goal and kind of what it is that you guys do.
Well, we help investors realize they can be the bank, like I was talking about earlier, and not have to deal with the toilets and the tenants. We try to educate the investors on a better way of investing. And we're sharing our deals we have done and are currently working on to kind of go through and show an investor how it works. And partnering with the investors and showing them a greater return with their self-directed IRAs and 401k plans.
So what's your average return right now for your investors?
Oh, Cynthia, that's hard to say. Every deal's different. So I really hesitate to answer that question because every deal is different. And when people join in with us, we don't want them to have an expectation of what was maybe said that would not be that. I would say that we try to give them a return of, Greg, what's your thoughts on the returns?
On average, you shoot for a minimum return of 12% on an annualized basis. Now, that's only on the deal. If you flip the deal before a year is up, then prorated, that deal can be worth much more.
For sure.
The interesting fact about these notes is you're taking the paper and the property is the asset or the collateral, and you're getting it at such a discount that you can go and say, what's your worst case scenario? Your worst case scenario is you don't lose money. And while that rarely happens, it's good to know that if everything fell apart in the economy, whatever, your risk is nil. So you're looking at a minimum of 12% on an annualized basis, typically, and it can be much higher if a note is flipped out. If, for example, one of our notes, the owner is trying to refi and take us out. Well, we bought this thing at under 50 cents on the dollar. If he does successfully refi, we're going to get the full face value, and we'll have done it in under 6 months. So if we had a 100% rate of return on 6 months, that's a 200% annualized return. Well, I don't go advertising that because people shut the door in your face like, yeah, right.
Right.
But,
that is
so the question is, you get 12%, you tell people 12.5% is your minimum, it'll be higher, probably won't be much lower. And one other thing I'll add is that when we partner with people, if let's say that the return on investment was 20%, they still get a minimum of roughly 12, and we'd only take 8. So we're always looking out for the investors because we're their custodian and we look after them.
right. That's awesome. And a lot of people who have self-directed IRAs or they've been investing before in traditional investments, some of their best years are 6% or even lower than that, and they have nothing leveraged or deeded into their self-directed or retirement accounts. So being able to do for real estate, it's going to give you a lot better peace of mind at the end of the day, and not only a higher return.
Well, think of it this way. Let's say your 401k guy, he's got a note, and it's almost like an annuity because the people in there are paying month after month. And then all of a sudden they decide they want to refi at a lower interest rate or for some reason, and bang, the whole thing gets paid off. All of a sudden, it's like a windfall. And then they just, typically what they'll do is they'll take their money and they will roll it into another note. So it's really, it's a safe investment, and it's well collateralized, and having Doug and I take care of it pretty much takes a headache out of their investment.
For sure, that's awesome.
And we know a lot of your investors with self-directed IRAs and 401ks know a lot of this, but a lot of them don't. And that's why we try to put this presentation in this platform, so the people that don't know what it's like are learning on what a performing and a non-performing note is. It is pretty simple, but when it's explained, it's sometimes it's easier to understand.
Mhm.
So when you buy a house, it's usually purchased with a bank note, and you sign promissory note with the bank. The monthly payments are made consistently of the principal and interest. The loans are usually around the 30-year term, and payments are made till the end of the term. And that is basically a performing note.
Right. Stay on top of your mortgage, make your payments, you're performing.
Yeah.
Real quickly, to have any of your folks who have a mortgage get a letter in the mail that says, "Hi, we're such and such bank. We're the new owner of your note." And you're like, "Well, what happened? They sold? Did they sell the bank? They think they sold the bank. They didn't. They sold the paper or the note." So you many times it happened to me when I was younger. My note, it was sold 3 times before I eventually sold the house. So it happens all the times, and basically what we're doing is we're in that process, only we're doing that at a deep discount.
Right.
Which brings us to Doug and the non-performing side of it.
Correct.
What is a non-performing note? When the homeowner fails to pay the mortgage for 90 days, it becomes a non-performing note, or as we call them, NPNs. When the NPN is non-performing, it is considered in default and at non-accrual state. At 120 days, the bank will typically have to, by law, move and liquefy it or take it to foreclosure. That's a non-performing note in a nutshell.
And where we come in is a lot of times these homes are under $80,000, and they may have little to no equity in them. And the banks are like, "What am I going to do here? I'm going to foreclose on this guy. It's going to cost me 10 grand for my legal team to go through it. It could be in a state where it's a hassle." And they've already had it and taken interest payments in for possibly years. So really, if they sell this thing at a discount, they're not. It's a much better maneuver for them than having the drawn-out process of foreclosing. So we buy it at a discount, and we work out the problem. And like I said earlier, sometimes the problem is not that bad. You just need to talk to people and find out what's going on in their life.
And so where are you focusing buying and purchasing notes at right now in the country? And does it change depending on the market?
It's more about the difficulties in resolving issues. There's some states where, let's say we've got a great deal on a note, but we know we're never going to get paid. These people never come to the table and never modify, and it's in a state where it could take you years to foreclose. So we tend to look at states where it's much easier. It can be anywhere from South Carolina, North Carolina, where it's it can be 6 to 8 months, to Illinois, where it can be 18 months. But still, if you have a 50% return on your investment over the course of 18 months, that's still, the return on average is pretty good. It's a little tedious and it's a little drawn out. But to answer your question, we're in South and North Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee. We're in the upper Midwest, Illinois, from Minnesota over to Michigan. That doesn't mean we won't look anywhere. We'll look at Florida. We'll look at Texas.
Well, we do look at Florida, and Michigan's a real good area to look in right now, believe it or not. There's been so much bad things said about Michigan, but right now it's very desirable, and there's a lot of notes out there that are Michigan.
Good to know.
So really, we'll go anywhere where there's a good deal.
Right. Good deal, and not too difficult of state laws, it seems like.
Exactly.
And that's a big part of it, because the state laws determine a lot of things. Greg just had mentioned part of it, but there are a lot of states that are quick. Texas is like 30 days, you're out.
Oh, wow.
We have one that we're coming up here in Maryland. I think it's on there. I think it's 120 days. So some of those notes, the banks don't let go as quickly because they know that they can take them to foreclosure and be done with it quicker. And they don't have to pay as much money to have the foreclosure taken through. It's done quickly. So you'll have to pay a little bit more of a premium on those. But the first one we do have is a really good deal, and we're going to try and grab that one.
That's awesome.
One thing your folks should know as well is that these aren't just one-offs. There are tens of thousands of these things going across desks across the country every day. It's hard for people to grasp the immensity of how many notes are going non-performing, and ultimately a bank may say, you know, I just got too many of them. I don't care if it's a good deal for us to do the foreclosure. We got to dump this stuff, and we got to do it fast. And that's where these tapes start rolling out, and people like us start disseminating them.
And you got a lot of government regulation on these banks, and they're looked at continuously. There's the 4 quarters per year that they're looked into.
Yeah, thank you, Barney Frank.
We when we buy a non-performing note, there's many exit strategies, but the ones that we do, for the most part, is we try to modify the loan. We want to help the borrower stay in their home. Deed and loan is basically where they sign over the paperwork to us, and we take over the property. And then if they're not responding to us, we take it to foreclosure. I mean, you'll send out a bunch of notes, letters to them, whatever it might be, and try and contact them. And if they don't get back to us, we have no alternative than to take it to foreclosure.
So when you're doing the loan modifications, are you? I know you're re-signing the note and the mortgage with them, but are you actually going to try and keep the note for 30 years, or are you guys going to be selling it yourself?
A lot of the way we're approaching it. If say we're doing with a partner, we have to be sensitive to what the partner is interested in. A lot of times a partner would like to park a performing note into his 401k and keep it as like an annuity. And it will just keep generating income for years and years and years. There's other people have a much narrower time frame, and they would say, get the note performing, and after 8 to 12 months, you can then resell a performing note at a discount, but the spread between which you bought it and sold it is still very attractive on an annualized base. So you have, the point to it is you have so many different moving parts and ways to do it. It really, you have to tailor to the people you're partnering with.
Right. Well, that's awesome that you can kind of modify case by case and decide, you know, what's best for you.
So we're going to talk about some due diligence, but one of the important things is to find out what's left on the note. Somebody may have been paying for 10 years, and they may have a 15-year note. So is it worth it for us to take it on?
Right.
We usually look at to see if a note has at least 10 to 15 to 20, 25 years on it.
And that's where the motivation, a lot of times these people want to stay in, and as Doug's about to show you here, if they have to go out and rent something, they'll find the rent's double what their mortgage payment is. So with a simple modification, they're all in on working with you.
For sure, especially right now, rentals across the United States are just skyrocketing. So I'm sure there's a lot of motivation for them to stay in their homes.
This first example we have here, and again, it can be a modification, a deed in lieu, or a foreclosure. This one blew me away. This is in Maryland. This is a row house, and it's in a really, really desirable area. We had a realtor run out there. He gave me some comps, said these don't show up very often, and when they do, they go fast. So the principal and interest for this guy is $754 a month. He owes right around $80,000. Taxes are $1,900, and the rents. This is what blew me away: $1,350 for this particular unit a month. So as you can see, like Greg just said, if you're paying $754 and your principal and interest, and you put the taxes on there, you're right around $1,000 a month, and you're still saving $350 to $400 a month in rent. So that incentive to get back on track is definitely there. The purchase price on this, the asset manager just got back to me. It's not 45; it's actually like 52. But it's worth 80 to 100,000, and this was totally rehabbed in 2015. This was built in 1924. We're actually going to be sending something out about this next week with a video on it and show you some pictures of it. But yeah, and it's like I said, it's about 120 days to the foreclosure, so this is a good price.
Oh, for sure. All right, got another example here.
Yeah, this is South Wall Avenue, Joplin, Missouri, and it's not a modification, but if it was a modification, Again, we don't try to modify them too much because if the rent rolls 750 and their principal and interest is 400 and their taxes are like $50 a month, I mean, how nice can you be to somebody?
Right.
It's a 3-bedroom, 1-bath. These are starter homes for the most part, 1,056 square foot home, and the purchase price on this would be around 25 to 30. We try to get them at 50 cents on the dollar, but that's not always feasible. And here again, Missouri, the foreclosure in that state is about 60 days. So you're usually paying a little bit more on that. And I don't know if everybody's look at the picture of these houses. These are well maintained.
Great, that's a nice house. I was about to note that. It's not just a horrible jump by any means.
Yeah, and right. You know what, Cynthia, when you just said that horrible, one of the things we do with our due diligence when we look at these notes, these properties, we try to make sure they're in a really good area, because that tells a lot. If it's the rest of the neighborhood's in a good state, you can see everybody's cutting their lawns and you don't have boarded up houses and stuff like that. The appreciation for your neighborhood and taking care of your home is definitely there.
For sure. Well, it probably gives you and your investors a little bit, better peace of mind, seeing how these people are going to want to do what they can to stay in their home. They've taken that much pride and ownership. They don't want to just throw it all away.
A picture's worth 1,000 words, and when we see a house being taken care of, that tells us a lot.
And this one's in Lithonia, Georgia, and principal and interest $450. You owe about $50,000. The taxes on it are $961, and the rents are $850. I mean, look at the spread on these. Purchase price would be around 25 to 30. This one might be gone. I have to check because a guy called me today on it. It's worth 70 to 80,000. And again, the foreclosure in this state is 120 days. To answer one of your questions about the return on investment, if we're giving an investor a certain amount of money and they're going to get their money back, the rate of return is ridiculous because on 120 days you're getting your money back.
Right.
So you can do another deal.
Right, yeah.
If you do take it in foreclosure at 120 days, then you typically got to add 30 days to sell. Assuming it's in good shape and you don't have to go in there and rehab it. It can be very quick.
It'll depend on the area, so what we'll do with it, if we'll take it to foreclosure, as far as bringing it back and rehabbing it, a lot of times you can just take it to the sheriff's sales steps and make the money right there and make sure that there's enough meat on the bones for an investor to rehab it.
Yeah, exactly. Say bye-bye.
Right, and so are you guys looking at list times and all of that stuff in your due diligence process, like what the current market that the homes are located is performing at?
Yes, I'm always looking at that. And a lot of these we call the lower-hanging fruit. They're not real expensive properties. They're usually under $125,000, and they're more desirable because you get better deals on the purchase when you're getting from an asset manager, from a servicing company, a bank, or a mortgage company, hedge fund. They typically will keep the higher amount, the homes that are worth more, and they will sell these off. I'm talking specifically about more like a hedge fund.
Right. Just got another one here.
Yep, this one's in, this is Lander Street in Williamston, South Carolina.
That's not far from my home.
And that's a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 1138 square foot. And the principal and interest on that is $400. They have a little over $38,000 on that. The taxes are $1,644. And again, the rents in the area is $750. Purchase price would be around 24 to 30 on that, probably 50. I think the asset manager got back to me on that one. I think it's like 32 actually, but you're right around 30%. And if it was to be rehabbed in really, really nice shape, you'd be getting probably more close to 70,000 on it. The foreclosure period in that in this correct state there is 150 days.
Yeah.
So do you help your investors facilitate rehabs if they're looking to kind of flip the property after they purchase and go through the foreclosure process?
You have some investors that live in those specific areas and they're interested in those areas alone, and then some are willing to. We have some friends, we're part of a mastermind, and some of them have different strategies. Some of them will just take everything to foreclosure, and then
Right.
some of them strictly try to modify. So it all depends on what somebody's looking for. If you're looking at a rental market like the one in Maryland, and you know you can get that back quickly, and you're going to pay $50,000 to $55,000 for it, you might just want to rehab it, or I mean, the modification. There's just so many ways of doing the business. It's ridiculous, but.
That's a key point. In the note business, there are so many exit strategies. There's so many ways to do take the note in, modify it out, and when we say modify, you're not what you're mostly doing is taking what they owe back payments and interest and penalties and backloading that to the end of the mortgage. So basically, the payment will stay the same, but typically it just stretches out further out for them. So they're not getting a free lunch, but they're getting a break, as it were. And then if you go to foreclosure, you can rehab it and sell it yourself as pretty much an REO. You could just sell it as is. Again, you will consult with your people that you're working with on this, see what they want to do, if they have any interest in doing something with it. Some say, no, just get the money as fast as you can, and we're out and we'll go on to the next one. Some guys will say, yeah, let's rehab it. We'll take it and we'll rent it out and we'll keep that as a cash flow. So lots of different ways. Doug and I we could talk forever in all the different ways, and as Doug's about to tell you, there's ways to contact us and we can help you with all the different thinking.
So for your clients and your investors, you're there through the whole process, and I'm assuming start to finish. Sure, you're talking through it, finding the exit strategy that works for them the best.
Very true.
And we have servicing companies that we work with as well that take off some of the pressure, so we can continue looking at other notes that are out there.
That's awesome. Yeah, let us know how our investors can contact you. And I know you guys do webinars on a monthly basis, outside of even things like the Self-Directed Club. So tell us all about that.
Well, I'm Doug and Greg, and we are Viking Capital Investments, LLC. I'm probably a little bit easier to contact than Greg, so that's why I put my email on there, and that's Doug@VikingCapitalInvestmentsLLC.com. Our 800 number is 855-508-4546, and you connect with both Greg and I on LinkedIn and Facebook. We have a Facebook page for Viking, and I have a Illinois non-performing note meetup group as well. And we have a lot of the deals that we've done already that you can find us on YouTube.
Oh, that's perfect. Well, sounds great, guys. I appreciate you guys coming on to our webinar tonight for the Self-Directed Club. And all of our viewers, if you have any questions, you can feel free to contact me at Cynthia@theselfdirectedclub.com or reach out to Greg and Doug directly. All right. Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks for having us, Cynthia.